Hello and welcome to Conversations with Body and Mind with myself, Nirvana Lange. Body and Mind is your health and wellness online directory. And coming up in today's conversation, I will be talking to the amazing Sandra Pedegana, and she's going to tell us more about Free to Be You. And yeah, that is so important, especially at this time, the freedom to be ourselves. So morning, Sands, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. Thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, wonderful. Looking forward to learning more about you, your story, and what you have to offer. So let's start off with your story. What led up to this? Why have you decided to do this work? And, what are those stepping stones that led up that this is, to me, it sounds like more like coaching and counseling and things like that you have to offer. So, what are those events that led up to you deciding to do this?
All right. So basically, I always grew up watching people, um, and and especially I think my mom. My mom was quite ill while we were growing up. She was bipolar, so when she was good, in a good headspace, everything was fine, and when she was down and in a really bad headspace, everything was horrendous. But I also started to notice illness. So when she was really down, she would get ill. And what I found is seems to be a common thread when I look around. When people had a negative attitude, or they couldn't look at the bright side, or they constantly focused on what was wrong instead of in what was good, I noticed that they would be ill. Little things like sore throats or coughs or earaches or eye infections, all those types of things. And I think it took me quite a while. I struggled with weight, just sort of growing up and realizing that, you sort of, I don't know if it was just lack of guidance or what it was, but I think also I was eating my emotions in a huge way. Not understanding that actually you need to express, you need to just be authentic, find who it is you are, and just be that person. You don't have to be an extrovert, you don't have to be an introvert, but just find who you are authentically and love yourself from your roots. And a lot of people grow up not knowing how to do that because they have this whole programming of what you should do and how you must be seen and what you must believe. And you also just take on everything that you are given by outsiders. So I actually found PSYCH-K. I was already in my 20s when I found it. I had read the Bruce Lipton's book, Biology of Belief, and he had mentioned it. I had already started working with EFT by then, the emotional freedom technique, the tapping. And so I had started working on a lot of my own personal issues with regards to that. But once I found the PSYCH-K, I actually found they're actually mutually beneficial. But I found that the PSYCH-K transformed your programming a lot quicker than just the tapping. But I do find so PSYCH-K is a tool for transforming your programming easily and gently. You basically will look at what are your beliefs. Are they serving you or are they not serving you? Are they true?
So sorry, Sansa, I just want
No
to,
problem.
before we go into Free to Be You and the tools that you are using, I just absolutely love, the realizations that you got, and just so important that we realize that our emotions create the dis-ease, and that, and watching news and watching all those negative things are all of those aspects that are bringing us down. And if we can realize
perpetuate.
those. Exactly. And one of my first teachers were Louise Hay. When I started
Yes,
learning, she was one of my first teachers in 2000s, in the early
it's
2000s.
lovely.
And, started to link
Yeah.
what's going on with this, what's going on with this, and even stamping my toe yesterday, like I would immediately go into, what's the meaning behind that. But biology, I believe, is also something that I had come across, and incredible. People are saying, oh, my parents had sugar diabetes, or, there's cancer in the family, so I'm destined to have, or heart disease, or
Yeah.
things like that. And so if more people would just kind of realize that we have the power to create,
Yes, exactly.
we have the power to
Yeah.
create. We don't have to follow.
No.
Yes, I know that there's bloodline and DNA and stuff like that, but we don't have to. We can break that,
We can
easily
break the
break that.
cycle.
Absolutely. So tell us more about Free to Be You, the tools that you are using, and how you are helping people to kind of, change that lifestyle, change that, way of thinking.
Right. Okay. So I think what you just said now about breaking the cycle is so key. We programmed from birth. We're programmed because we just absorb all this information and all these things that people say repetitively to us, whether they're parents or nannies or caregivers or teachers. And it's only after you come of age and you start to question that, is that really true or not? But I love what you say about breaking the cycle, because just because it's in your family's history doesn't mean that you have to carry that same disease or that same belief. You have a choice. And so PSYCH-K really is a very simple process where you transform the program that you are running for a different one. So I would work with you to figure out what it is that you are running as a program, but more key to that is, what do you want instead? And do you know what that looks like? Do you know what it sounds like? Do you know what it feels like? And how will you actually know when you get there? So I do a little bit of coaching along the way about setting the framework so that your body actually understands, oh, it's starting to happen. Because people often say, oh, I've worked on that forever and ever and ever, nothing's happening. But if you actually look at things, you'll see that you are shifting. You never do a session with PSYCH-K without actually changing something. So what we would do is we test the body with kinesiology, the muscle testing, to ascertain if something is true or if it is false. And if it is false, but you want it to be true, then we would instill that belief, and then you would take action on that. So it's a very simple process, but it's so profound, and it just seems to work so quickly, which is why I love it so much. You don't have to struggle and keep going at something a million times. You know. Yeah.
And do you have people coming to you as a therapy? Do you do it online? How are you assisting?
Yes, so I do work face to face, but it's also very feasible online, and I do over Zoom or Skype or FaceTime if necessary. So I've been able to do both ways very successfully.
So what does a psyche session look like? Like, let's say, for instance, I have a money block, and I know the money block is because Dad always used to take the money away from me. And so, so I know
Yes.
what is going on. And then, of course, I'm also a bit of a against, what do I call it? I'll cut this bit out where I'm struggling now. I'm against the idea of money because I'm more of a free person. I want to exchange, but that's also because I'm so resistant against governments. So that's also, you're right. So that's also and the evil side of money. So that's also created a block. So how would a psyche session look like? Just just a scheme over it so that I can
Right.
understand, and those who are watching can understand what
Can
does.
understand. Okay, so I think what's great is that you already listed a couple of key points there. So you're anti-government, and you have a blog about actually earning money and possessing it. So what I would do is just sort of have a look with you to see if there was anything sort of a step back. So is it because of unworthiness, or is it because of untrust? Or I know you mentioned that money is evil. So money is actually an exchange.
Exactly.
It's an energy exchange. So it's not an evil entity. Some people use it poorly. And some people use it for no good, but a lot of good can be used with money. So what I would really do is just sort of work out where your truth is with it, and what resonates for you, and how you would like to be with it going forward. So what would your relationship with it be going forward? And then I would work out some statements for you, what we call goal statements. And then I would install that with you using muscle testing and lock in. And then we test afterwards, is it now strong with you? And then from there, you would progress. But I would also sort of work with you and give you a sort of a little goal steps, what you need to do, how are you going to take action, and those types of things.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah.
You were going to say
So we
something?
don't have to. Yes, I was just going to say, it's funny how I also don't want people to sort of think, oh, that's because that's what my parents told me and that's what they think. That doesn't make your parents bad or wrong.
Absolutely.
It just gives you have to realize you have your own life. You are your own individual being. And just because your parents did something one way doesn't mean that you can't do it differently. A lot of people are held in the money trap because their parents did things one way.
Exactly.
Yes, so it's more important to actually go, okay, I see how they've done it. I can learn from their experience, but I would choose something different.
Yeah.
And remember that what you are going to be doing, you might pass on to your children. So also remember that this is your life and this is your time to actually break those chains that are held, in patterns. So that, for example, my children don't have to deal with the same issues that I dealt with. It stops here. You can stop it here and you can choose something better.
Yeah, no,
Not saying that we always get it right.
No, that's the thing. There's no manual that comes with any of this.
Yes.
But luckily my boys have no money issues. Absolutely trust fund children.
Fantastic.
They've never had to worry about money, and I know that I've blocked and cut a lot of cycles from my childhood within my children.
Right.
So that really gives me a better understanding of what a session would be like, and and how we can reset and reprogram the ideas that we have around what happened to us as children, or some other major traumatic event. It doesn't necessarily have to be as children. Some people say, oh, I had a great childhood, or I had no problems, but then there's something somewhere in the event that happens, traumatic event that's kind of takes away whatever it is. Yeah. Right. So how can people get hold of you? Where are you based? And any website links, social media, anything like that you could share with us?
Yes. I'm in Cape Town.
Nice.
So I work out of the IS Centre in Dreyesdale Road in Bergfleet. It's actually a lovely area. There's it's a building, and there's a whole lot of different people that are working in there with all of our modalities, which is quite lovely.
I used to.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, with Odyssey. I used to work for Odyssey, and they used to rent top section. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. And then I've just got a little, I don't know if it'll let me share. I just have a, no, it's not going to let me share. I was going to pop up the, my Free to Be You. I've got a website. It's www.free2bu.co.za, and the 2 is the number.
Do you have a social media, Facebook page or anything like that?
I do have a page. It's linked to mine, so it's also the same. Free to Be You.
Free to Be You. Great, and we will share those links in the chat once we upload the YouTube the interview onto our YouTube channel. And people can also go to our Body and Mind website, which is bodyandmind.coza. They can also go to bodyandmindblog.coza and interact with us on our blog site. We also have the app in your Apple as well as in your Android Play stores, and that is the Body and Mind Health and Health Directory app. And you can also interact with us. Please do share subscribe and ring that little bell so you can get notifications of our next interview, and maybe people can get a benefit out of these conversations. Thank you so much, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Nirvana. It was a pleasure meeting you.